should sit right here. Okay.
Hello. If you catch me looking at myself in the viewfinder. No, you don't. Okay. I actually don't know how to start. I wanted to do this video last year, actually, but I never did. I don't know why. I do know why. I've always wanted to track my reading. Tracking my reading is the best way to keep me motivated personally. It doesn't work for everybody, but it definitely works for me. I actually did this last year and I was going to make a video, but I never ended up actually doing it. Now that TikTok is disappearing, I think now is a better time than ever. So great. This is going to be everything I read in 2024. Last year, I read a total of 55 books, so my goal this year was to go over that and hit 60. I also had two secret goals. I finished Ice Planet Barbarians last year, so this year I wanted to finish Ice Home, another series in the Ruby Dixon verse, and two, finish The Way of Kings. Let's see how I did. Oh, and we'll be ranking the books as we go. My rating system might be a little bit different than yours. I don't do stars. I do either read it or do not read. It is much, much simpler. It makes a lot more sense to me. Okay. I'll also have a little counter up here for all the books that we read, and the covers will be shown here. Let's get into it. Here's everything that I read in 2024. On January 1st of 2024, I finished reading Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies by Heather Fawcett. I actually started this book in December, but I finished on January 1st, so that counts for 2024. Thank you. This was really good. Read it. I think the second book is out. I meant to read that this year. Never did. The second book I read this year was on January 2nd of 2024, Veronica's Dragon. Listen, I feel like, okay, let's take a second. Let's define what I count as a book. Anything that's on Amazon Prime, anything that I can get printed is a book. Anything I can buy printed is a book. Okay, if I can buy it printed. I know a lot of people don't count a lot of Kindle Unlimited books as actual books because of the page count. But if I can buy it printed, that's a book. I also think some people might have an issue with the content of some of the books that I read. For some reason, purity culture has been like seriously poppin'. This is not for you. This is not for you if you don't like fun. Just kidding. I'm kidding. Okay, this is not for you if you like books with a lot of in it. Do you know what I mean? So if you don't like in your books, then this is probably not for you. Also, if you don't like impreg, this is also probably not for you. Okay, I didn't like this book. It was kind of boring. It was fine. It was boring. It ties in a lot of her other like stupid shit, but don't read this. The third book I read this year was Bookshops and Bone Dust by Travis Baldree. I finished this story on January 6th of 2024. I fucking loved this book. Definitely read this. I know Mr. Baldree has some stuff planned for 2025. I check his website almost every week. Once a week, I will go on Travis Baldree's website to see if he's posted more. I really recommend Bookshops and Bone Dust. The next book I read in January was A Little Bit Country by Brian D. Kennedy. I picked this book up randomly at Barnes & Noble on a date with my boyfriend. It was kind of whatever gay story. If you like rom-coms, read this. It was okay. Here's where we get to stuff where I think you're going to judge me. You think I'm worried about you judging me for the Ruby Dixon books? I'm worried about you judging me for this one. And before you say anything, this is judgment-free zone. Judgment-free zone. On January 20th of 2025, I finished Bro and the Beast, book 1. This is a shifter romance and also an isekai, and there is impreg. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Read this. Look, it blew up on TikTok. I was seeing it everywhere at the time. I needed to read it because, I mean, I'm no stranger to Omegaverse, and neither are you. It was just a little over 100 pages, super digestible, really funny, and I thought it was worth the read. Moving on to February, I read Willa's Beast, Ice Home. This is the third book in the Ice Home series by Ruby Dixon. I also found this one really boring. You know, as a whole, Ice Home was really difficult for me to get through just because I didn't really like any of it or any of the characters, really. Ice Planet Barbarians needs to be studied because I don't know why that had such a hard chokehold on me, but Ice Home didn't. It's basically the same, but more story. You know, My review for Ice Planet Barbarians and Ice Home is a whole other video. Maybe she just took off more than she could handle and didn't really take the time to explore any of it. I don't know. I mean, I like this one more than Veronica's Dragon. Read this. I then read Legends and Lattes again. I read this book in 2023. Also, another rule, put this on the rule table that we have, obviously. If you read a book more than once, that is another book to add to your tally, okay? I reread Legends and Lattes. I read this book in 2023, obviously. It was my favorite book of 2023, and it still holds up. It's still really good. After I read Bookshops and Bone Dust, I was craving Legends and Lattes again, so I reread that, and it was very good. It was very good. Read this. I then read Black Wings by Christina Henry. Now, this one's a weird one. I'm sure no one's heard of this. This book has sat in my library shelf since I was a freshman in high school. I'm 23 now. I remembered really liking the book when I was in high school. It very much is giving supernatural, early 2000s trashy TV. Don't read this. It is such a bananas book, and Christina Henry is such a bananas author. Oh my god. Don't read this. Don't read this. Next is Cafe Con Lychee by Emery Lee. This book was good. If you like rom-coms, read this. I thoroughly enjoyed. Not much to say though. I then read Gale's Family, and I feel like I should be doing a synopsis of all of these. Next is Gale's Family. This is an intermission story in the Ice Home series. Ruby Dixon does this occasionally, and Gale is the older woman who adopts an orphaned alien. And it's about what her life is like with her mate, who will never resonate to her because they're old. It's really sad. It's really good. It's a really good story. It's not really about them. It's more about Gale connecting with her adopted son. It was weird. It was weird. Read it. Next is Angie's Gladiator, also an Ice Home book. I liked this one. I remember really liking this one. This one's crazy. She wakes up in the pod pregnant, already very pregnant. She's got 2 twins watching over her, and it's not a who do I pick story. It's more of like one of the twins, who isn't a twin, he's a clone, one of the clones figuring out who he is as a man and what he wants, and what he wants is Angie. Read this. Read it. Next page. In March, I had a little bit of how you say an affliction, and you'll see what I mean. On March 4th of 2024, I read Bro and the Beast Book 2 by Joel Abernathy. This was also good. Now, I will say about these books, they're very episodic. Every book is just over 100 pages, just under 150. Very digestible, easy. They're also totally bananas and extremely entertaining. It's been a while since I've read these. Oh, I need to adjust. Oh, and you need to adjust too. There we go. It's been a while since I've read the Bro and the Beast books, so they kind of all blur together for me, but definitely read book 2. That one was good. Good sequel. I then finished Bro and the Beast book 3 the very next day, and then I read Bro and the Beast book 4 the very next day, and then I read Bro and the Beast book 5 the very next day. Book 5 is the conclusion of Bro and the Beast, okay? And again, I just want to say I feel like these books could have been one book, but I also understand why they're not. Joel Abernathy, you are a marketing genius. Speaking of Bro and the Beast, this is totally a side tangent, but Bro and the Beast, the audiobook, book 1, just got released on Audible. I highly recommend. I'm listening to it right now. Anyway, Bro and the Beast. Yeah, so we'll talk about all of them as like an entire book, just because I feel like whatever. Read it. It's so funny. Main character gets pregnant and gives birth. If you're always asking yourself, how do the Omegaverse men give birth? Read. Get educated. Figure it out. Oh my god. Bro and the Beast was actually so popular that Joel Abernathy has made a sequel to the series, and it's called Villain and the Geek. I also started that one. I only read the first book because they're not all out yet, and I don't know what the publishing schedule is because book 2's been out for quite a long time. Again, I didn't read that this year. Anyway. On March 8th of 2024, I read book 1 of Villain and the Geek. This story is so much sadder. One thing about Joel Abernathy is he's gonna have a lot of angst, and I feel like Bro and the Beast didn't have enough angst, so he really had to amp it up for Villain and the Geek. And it made me so sad that I just ditched it. I just put my hands up and I ditched it. I mean, if you liked Bro and the Beast, definitely read Villain and the Geek. Read it. Next page. On March 11th of 2024, I read Dark Rise by C.S. Pacat. And I really liked it. It was really good. However, I have complicated feelings. There are some themes in this book that I feel are not appropriate for minors. I personally don't understand why they weren't aged up at least a couple years. All the characters are 17, 18 years old. I don't understand why they couldn't be aged up a little bit more to make this more appropriate. I did some very baseline research into C.S. Pacat because I wanted to know what everyone else felt. If anyone else was feeling what I was feeling about Dark Rise, I didn't see anybody who had the same issues I did. Maybe that makes me super woke. She also wrote this other book series. You might have heard of it. It was super controversial when it was first released. It was called Captive Prince, and the themes of this book are very interesting, to say the least. And you know what? I don't think C.S. actually knows how to write those situations. And a lot of the themes in Captive Prince translate to Dark Rise in a way I really don't like. Like, the themes are just too parallel for me to be totally chill with all the characters being minors. And for that reason, I put this book in the do not read category. It doesn't matter how well written it is. If the themes are weird, they're weird. And I say that after okay. And you may be like, you just talked about a Megaverse for a really long time. Yes, I did. But you know what? Everybody was a consenting adult. There were no minors. First book I read of April. I read Spock Must Die by James Blish. This is the first Star Trek paperback to be released that isn't an episodic retelling. It's an original story where there's 2 Spocks. And I liked it. It was really good. It was a nice, fun read. If you like Star Trek, read it. The next book I read in April is A Strange and Stubborn Endurance by Foz Meadows. I thought this book was going to be a trashy romance. I really did. Like a whatever, put it on in the background, listen. But I was listening to the audiobook and I was like, fuck, this is really good. So I went to Barnes & Noble and I picked up a physical copy and I read the physical copy. I personally don't count audiobooks as reading. But that's me personally. You can do that. That's fine if you want to do that. But I personally don't count it. I listen to a lot of audiobooks, right? So all these books would be audiobooks and way more embarrassing. So I don't count audiobooks. Not because I don't think it's reading, but because my audiobooks are embarrassing. I got the physical copy of Strange and Stubborn Endurance. I read it in like a couple days. I really liked it. I will warn you, this book also deals with themes of non-consent, but in a much better way. The book is not about your consent being taken away and it being like a kink. This book is about healing. I think that's a very important distinction. So definitely read this. The next book I read was the sequel to A Strange and Stubborn Endurance, called All the Hidden Paths by Foz Meadows. Again, very good. I thought it was a very good sequel. I hope Foz Meadows keeps writing in this universe because I really like the setup that we've got going on here, and I think the characters are very charming. Foz Meadows, I hope you write forever. Read it. Yeah, read it. The next book I read is called The Royal Curse by Elliot Grayson. I would put Elliot Grayson and Joel Abernathy probably in the same category of author, where they write episodic books about gay men. And they're both transgender. I love transgender authors. All the best authors are transgender. Didn't you know that? I really enjoyed this book. If you like Fuck or Die, this one's for you. Read it. Oh, by the way, we're in June. The next book I read in June was Can't Spell Treason Without T by Rebecca Thorne. I was craving Legends and Lattes, okay? I needed more books like Legends and Lattes. I wanted gay, cozy fantasy, and I found this was a Reddit recommendation. And when it was recommended to me, they had just released a physical version of the book, which I do have. And I don't know, I guess the reason I didn't enjoy this book is because I was wanting Legends and Lattes, and it's not Legends and Lattes. Read it. It wasn't bad, though. It wasn't terrible. I feel like the book was lacking some serious world building, and they focused on the wrong things, but that's just me. I mean, read it. It was enjoyable. I enjoyed it. Read it. On the same day, June 10th of 2024, I finished Hannah's Hero, Ice Home Book 7. It seems at this point in my reading journey, I was feeling a little down because I wrote underneath this book, Lord, what the fuck am I doing? Not bad, not great. So do with that what you will. I guess I didn't like this one. Don't read it. All right. The next book I read was Devi's Distraction. I finished that on June 11th of 2024. I enjoyed this one much more than I did Hannah's Hero, and I feel like Devi's Distraction is what I needed to pull me back into the story. I really like Devi. Devi is a scientist, and when she's stranded on this ice planet, instead of despairing, she's actually very excited. Our main male lead was also very charming, and that always helps. So read this one. In June, I also finished The Lost Hero by Rick Riordan. I wanted to finish reading The Heroes of Olympus. I'm trying to reread all of Percy Jackson, but I haven't been feeling very motivated. I mean, I love this book. I've read it like 3 times already. 4 if you count the time in 2024. Yeah. Read it, duh. If you haven't read Percy Jackson, read Percy Jackson, duh. Back to Ice Home, I read Nadine's Champion, and I wrote in my notes, they fuck in a giant bird nest. Hilarious. So, read it. Oh, and I read The Son of Neptune. I thought I only read The Lost Hero, but I also read book 2. Okay, cool. Well, again, if you haven't read Percy Jackson, read it, duh. Back to Ice Home. I read Callie's Catastrophe. This book sucks so bad. I fucking hate this book. Okay, listen, Ruby Dixon, again, I'm not doing an Ice Home review. I'm just saying that I know what Ruby Dixon was going for Callie's Catastrophe, like to bring back the dark romance, like kidnapping, barbarian fun business, but like it was done bad. I don't like Callie. I don't like her stupid male lead. I don't remember any of the men's names. But yeah, I didn't like him either. It was so shit that I really wanted to skip this one, but I didn't. Don't read it. So July hits, and I really wanted a mermaid book, like something very light, something very fun, something very silly. I wanted a young adult mermaid book, and the one I picked, because the cover was really pretty, is Daughter of the Pirate King by Tricia Levenseller, and it wasn't even a mermaid book. Don't read this. I then read Jurassic Park. I really loved that. It was way better than I thought it was going to be. I knew it was a good book going in, but I didn't know it was going to be that good. Highly recommend. Read it. In August, we returned to Ice Home. I finished Penny's Protector on August 13th of 2024, and I was really struggle bussing through Ice Home. Devi's Distraction gave me hope, and then we took it all away with Callie's Catastrophe. Okay, I didn't like Penny's Protector either. These guys kind of sucked. Like, don't read this. Don't read this. I then read The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, only the one book, the first one, by Douglas Adams. That was really good. I really enjoyed it. I read that book while my boyfriend was building my sister's computer, and it was just a very nice time. I recommend it. If you haven't read The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, you definitely should, especially if you like sci-fi. The next book, I don't even remember. In September, I finished Where the Dark Stands Still by A.B. Poranek. I don't remember. I don't even know what this book is. We're going to look it up. This was okay. I wanted more. Where the Dark Stands Still is like a dark fairy tale romance type business, and the male lead is a 300-year-old elf. And our female lead is a 19-year-old woman. So, like, if that's what you like, I guess, read it. September seriously killed my book vibe. I wanted to read a lot of fun, spooky books in September. Like, not actually scary stories, but, like, supernatural-esque. So that's why I read The Black Knight. It's the sequel to... What's it the sequel to? I don't even remember. The book is so forgetful. Fuck, what is it? What did I read? It's the sequel to Black Wings by Christina Henry, and it sucks. It sucks. The Black Knight sucks. I really wanted that series to be supernatural, like with a female lead. Like just a fun, stupid, like harem romance. Just a fun, stupid harem romance to like read very casually and not take super seriously, have a lot of fun with. Again, it was very 2000s. And in this book, our main lead, without warning, is violently assaulted, I'll say. It isn't done well. The theme is not handled with any kind of grace, and it's all there for shock. I didn't like it. Don't read this. In September, I also read The Soul Sucker by Ted Sabine. This is the only book written by Ted Sabine. Actually, I think he's written 2 books, but this book was published in, I believe, the 70s, 80s, don't quote me. And in the 70s and 80s, there was a huge popularity in pocketbooks. They're paperbacks that you put in your pocket, and you can take them with you wherever you can read them. Just small paperbacks, simple stories. It was kind of like watching an episode of Goosebumps, but like for adults. What they call that? There's a show that's not Goosebumps, but is that. You know what I'm talking about. Anyway, Soul Sucker. It was really interesting. It was just under 200 pages, and it was fucking bonkers. If you like old sci-fi, read this book. It was really fucking weird. Back to Ice Home. I read Mari's Mistake. Oh yeah! At this time, I want to paint a picture for you of where I was when I was reading these books, actually. I was in North Carolina with my boyfriend on our very first vacation together. We were in the fucking mountains, and Hurricane Helene hits. We're stranded there for like 3 more days. It was really scary, okay? And I had nothing to do but read because there wasn't any service. I wasn't nearly as affected. I don't even live in North Carolina. I live in Florida. I'm no stranger to hurricanes, right? But that one really frightened me. And it wasn't even like we were really affected. Again, we were in the mountains, so it's not like the place was flooded, and the place we were staying at had a backup generator, so we never really lost power. We just lost, or hot water. We didn't lose hot water either. So it's not like we lost power or hot water, but just being stuck and not knowing what was going on and not being able to like text my mom was very frightening. So to distract myself, I read a lot. One of those books was Mari's Mistake, Ice Home. I enjoyed it, apparently. I wrote in my notes it was so much better than the last ones. And yippee. I'm trying to remember what this one was about. Oh, I remember. The themes of Mari's Mistake are actually very fun. Again, I would love to do like a full deep dive into Ice Home for you, personally, since you're watching this. Anyway, read it. The first book I read of October was Caught in a Crystal by Patricia C. Reed. This is a book that I picked up like at a thrift book place in North Carolina, and I really liked this one. I had never heard of Patricia C. Reed, but she's apparently very prolific. She wrote some books for Star Wars, actually, and I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed Caught in a Crystal. It was super fun. Like, just imagine fantasy 80s, like, you can't go wrong. Our main character is a mom who is trying to raise 2 children after her husband has died. She's an innkeeper with a very interesting past that's coming back to haunt her. This book is about being a mom and not losing yourself, even though you are a mom. You know what I mean? Like, still being true to who you are. You're different now because you're a mom, but you're also still that girl swinging around a sword and killing demons. Really fun. Really liked it. All the books in that series are in the same universe, but they aren't attached, really. So Caught in a Crystal is actually book 4 in that universe. But again, they all stand completely separate from each other, and I think that that is such a shame. I would love to see these characters again, but we never do. Patricia, your mind. The next book I read in October was Raven's Return, Ice Home. And in my notes I wrote transgender allegory, so that must mean I liked it. Read it. Moving on. skipping November entirely because I was moving. In December, I finished The Way of Kings by Brandon Sanderson. This book is 1,200 pages long. It was so good. I knew it was going to be good, but I didn't know it was going to be that good. Everybody says the book is so good, and I'm like, it can't be that good. And it is. Read this. I can't really get into what it's about because it's a lot, but you should read it. I'm actually trying to read all the books in the Cosmere, and The Way of Kings has been kind of standing in the way because the Stormlight Archives is very intimidating to me. All those books are very long. But it was well worth it. It was super worth the read. I think it took me a year and a half to read The Way of Kings. But I was like going at a very leisurely pace, okay? It's like I put the book down. I read a bunch of other books in between. I totally could have read The Way of Kings in a reasonable time, but I just didn't. Anyway, yeah, now that The Way of Kings is out of the way, I'm going to blow through the Cosmere like it's nobody's business, okay? I'm going to finish that series. Relax. And immediately after The Way of Kings, I reread The Royal Curse. I don't know why. It was in my Kindle Unlimited, like in my recommended, and I was just like, and I just found myself going back there. I'll also say, Elliot Grayson has a very fun writing style, and the way he writes dialogue is really cute and really fun and interesting. So yeah, I already said I recommend it. Read it. The next book I read was Bridget's Bane, Iceholm. This book was a long time coming in the series. If you read Iceholm, you know that Bridget and Adam, he's the only man I remember because his name is Adam. You'll know that this book was a long time coming. It's like book 15, I think, out of 17. It's 14, 15, somewhere around there. I don't care. You knew this one was a long time coming, and I thought I was going to hate this one. I thought I was going to hate this one a lot based on Bridget's and Adam's interactions in the earlier books, but it was fine. I liked it. And because the bar was so low, I ended up really enjoying it. Read it. All right, and we're coming real close. It's December 24th. Of 2024. I'm nowhere near last year's goal. We're in speedrunning territory. I read Steph's Outcast, Iceholm, and it was fine. I enjoyed it. Ruby Dixon has some really, really good really, really fun world building. Note how I said fun, not good, but she has really fun world building that I think is really interesting. And this book really played into the world building and like being really weird and just very jarring. It was fun. It was a good change of pace. I also liked, I remember his name too. His name is Juth. I really liked Juth's son, Pack, and he was a really fun character too. Yeah, I recommend it. Read it. The next book I read was Sam's Secret, Iceholm. We're getting really, really close to the end of the Iceholm series. This book I also really liked. I thought it was also fun. The themes are very interesting and handled appropriately. I use the word appropriately loosely here. I give Ruby Dixon a lot of slack. And maybe I shouldn't. But like, don't read this. No, read it. Come on. It's fine. It was good. I enjoyed it. On 12/31 of 2024, I read my last book of the year. Daisy's Decision, Iceholm. Man, I would have liked it better if I wasn't rushing, I think. These characters were really fun. Daisy was really interesting. Ojek is kind of boring. But, you know, whatever. I wrote in my notes, I really wanted to finish this, and I did, kicking and screaming. Read it. I don't know. All right. Have you been keeping count? Because I have. It's time to start my favorite part of this project. And I'll be taking you with me. I'm doing a voiceover right now, and I'm not reading off of a script, so I apologize if I say a lot of ums and uhs. And if I'm rambling, I don't know what I'm doing. What you're looking at right now is my 2024 reading list. It's something I'm weirdly proud of. It's a very private thing for me, and I'm being vulnerable on the internet. Surely that won't backfire. And now that 2024 has come to a close, it's time to tally up all the books that I've read. I like to use stickers to make sure that my tally really stands out. Here you see me pulling out my letter stickers. We'll be using the Star River palette. I know very little about this brand, but I do know they have a wide range of small letter stickers, and we'll be using those today. Yeah. First, we're gonna go through and pick out which colors I want. I want the stickers to match the pen markings I've made already. I think I went with red and brown this time. Not my favorite color combination, but it fits the theme. Now, as you're about to see, these stickers are very frustrating to work with, especially if you have very long nails like I do. I did find this pair of tweezers, but the tweezers weren't very helpful either. I have no idea how those aesthetic sticker artists do this. It's literally the most annoying part of the project.
God. Oh my god. I'm so pissed off. What the fuck?
Okay, so total number of books I read in 2024. If you've been paying attention, you've noticed I've only met one of my goals this year, and the reading total was not the one. Last year I read 55, which was over my goal of 50, and this year I wanted to exceed at least 60. I did not do that. I only read 44 books in total this year. I'm going to attribute that low number to the fact that I moved very suddenly this year. It's been a large adjustment for me. I don't even have my full library with me anymore. So yeah, it put a damper on my motivation.
That was so stressful. I literally didn't breathe at all.
But in the end, it's not really about how many books I read in the year, and it's not really about the goals either. We'll talk more about that later. To me, this is more about seeing what I've accomplished. I think that makes it more fun. The best part of this whole thing is actually tallying up the page numbers for me. Seeing that big number there fills me with a bigger sense of accomplishment. For 2024, I only managed to read 13,259 pages altogether.
Bro.
In 2023, I read 17,431 pages. That's roughly 4,000 less pages than last time. But who's counting? Am I right? And that brings 2024 to a close. Wow.
Okay, beautiful.
We're moving on to 2025. I thought it would be fun to at least start next year's spread with you guys and show you what that process looks like for me. I consider it best practice to pull out your largest stickers first and add these smaller stickers around it. This is my box of big Amazon stickers. In 2020, I bought like 5 different packs of stickers and I'm still picking through them. I don't recommend you buy sticker packs off of Amazon. A lot of this is stolen art. I of course didn't know that when I bought it, but now I know and now you know, so don't do it. We're gonna start the year off with a Rainbow Dash theme. Last year I did a Luna theme and I thought that was really cute. I want to keep that going. Maybe make every year a My Little Pony theme. Anyway, that is besides the point. I love everything the rainbow, so obviously Rainbow Dash was my number one choice. These are the 4 stickers that I ended up choosing. They're the only ones that aren't garishly ugly, so they were also the only 4 that didn't make me feel weirdly uncomfortable. Don't buy stickers off of Amazon. You don't know what you're buying. You don't know what you're buying. So yeah, I'm applying the big stickers first, and we're gonna go in and put the smaller stickers around it. Now, while I do this, I think it would be fun if we talked about the secret goals of my 2024 reading list. Obviously, I had the main goal, read 60 books, and then I had a couple smaller secret goals, which was to finish Ice Home by Ruby Dixon and The Way of Kings by Brandon Sanderson.
READ. READ.
I only finished one of those goals. It was to read The Way of Kings by Brandon Sanderson, and I call that a success. Thank you. let me finish picking out my stickers here, and then we'll go over the highs and lows of 2024.
READ 2025.
Aw, good job. You can spell. I'm so proud of you. Let's talk about my favorite and least favorite book of the year. I'd say my favorite book this year had to be A Strange and Stubborn Endurance by Foz Meadows. I kept finding myself picking this book up to reread my favorite passages.
I fucking hate this shit, dude.
To me, Foz Meadows has a very playful writing style. Like, it's the perfect mix between sad and romantic and suspenseful. Everything is balanced very well. I also find myself looking for a strange and stubborn endurance in other books that I read, other romance books. No one so far has really captured the balance that Foz Meadows brings to the table for me. I know I'm anticipating what Foz does next. Very excited. Let's see. Oh yeah, my least favorite book this year easily was Callie's Catastrophe, Ice Home by Ruby Dixon. God, this book was terrible. From beginning to end, I didn't enjoy a single second of it. That being said, my highest read author this year was Ruby Dixon. I read the most books by Ruby Dixon last year, and I imagine it will be the same next year as well. I'm not even halfway done with the Rizdiverse. What a stupid name. Fucking love Ruby Dixon. And the longest book I read was, easily The Way of Kings by Brandon Sanderson. It was 1,258 pages. After finishing The Way of Kings, every book seems so short now. I feel like I'm blowing through my reading list this year already. I'm trying to think of more Spotify Wrapped-esque categories so I can talk about the books that I read. Oh, maybe I could talk about my goals for next year. That 60 book total is going to stay. That's going to be my number one goal. Should I divulge the secret goals? I think yes. I'm thinking anything that I didn't complete last year should count for this year. So finish Ice Home is still on the list. I'll also add start and finish Corsairs. I think that's a good idea. That should be much easier. There's only 9 books in that series. I'll also put down The Alloy of Law. I want to finish that series this year as well. Okay, yeah, that's a good list. Very reasonable. It's important to keep your goals reasonable, guys. That is true for all things, but especially time-consuming hobbies like reading. Anyway, I'm just about finished here. I went with a rainbow theme. Obviously. Yeah, obviously. It's difficult to see on camera, but the stickers that you see actually sparkle in the sunlight. It's such a pretty spread. Already, I look forward to filling these pages. And I hope you look forward to watching.
Huh?
No.
You scared me.
I'm sorry.
Huh?
Well, your door's open, so I didn't...
Oh, was it open?
Like...
Oh, okay. What's up? Do you want to see what I'm doing?
Yeah.
Look.
I
Trying to
was
cut
saying-
this in the...
Why don't you just... Well, you know, never mind.
Huh?
I was gonna say, why don't you just wrap it around, but no. 'Cause then
No,
go
there's
to
stuff on the other
Yeah,
side.
yeah,
Yeah. Right. I'm doing it at like the worst angle.
It'd be easier if you use a knife. Unironically, because you could hold one end, use the knife, and cut it.
Do we have like a...
Sharp knife?
Yeah.
My multi-tool.
Go get your multi-tool.
You want to do it or you want me to do it?
I want to do it.
It's open. I would hold knife with left hand, probably, because you have like the better angle for it.
Right?
Hold this with like pinch your thumb, and then cut in between there. Hold it up against the book.
Like...
Oh, you have nails.
Yeah.
You might not be able to.
Here, you do it then. Be careful,
Sit.
be careful.
I don't want to mess up your book at all.
No, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Whoa! Oh no.
Good dong.
Thank you.
Get good dong.
All right, yeah. Officially, I'm done with this spread. Well, until I add the words, of course. That concludes this portion of the video. See ya! Yeah. And the best part about being done with 2024 means I can do my next book spread reading 2025. If you watch this, thanks. If you know me from TikTok, sorry. There'll be more content for you later. Don't worry. I still have, I'm still working on the Twilight Sparkle bag. It's sitting right there, actually. And I plan to finish that. I do. Okay, I do plan to finish that, okay? I love you. God, I'm tired. I've been talking for like an hour. Maybe I'll see you later. Who knows? Bye. Mwah.